Last time on Love and Hip Hop Nigeria, Usman told Kim that he doesn't need her because she's ugly and he has the advantage of having sexy and beautiful women around him. My question for Usman is where they at though, because we've only seen you go on the show with old cringe ladies, bro. Usman's trying to front like he's like Jack Harlow and he's got options, but the fans haven't seen him pull one good looking girl. After not receiving the blessing from Usman's family the past couple episodes, Kim has been feeling down bad, and instead of being there for her emotionally, Usman instead offered to give her the double yammy. In typical Usman fashion, his idea of doing something nice for his woman is something that brings him pleasure. As we covered in our last video on this couple, Kim bought his mother a cow and she thought that this was a great gift from her heart, but the whole family took it as a bribe. And if you look up the dictionary definition of a bribe, sure, you can argue that it is technically a bribe. The conversation with Usman's family ended with the mother demanding that Usman takes a local wife that's young and able to give her grandchildren before he marries Kim, something that Kim is not comfortable with because Usman promised her that she would be the first wife. Kim has been binge watching The Handmaid's Tales. She assumes that being the first wife gives her authority over the other wives that follow after her. So the gift of the cow blows up in Kim's face and she's feeling very defeated. When they drive back to the hotel, Usman assures her that the next day they can work out a plan on how to go about obtaining his family's approval so that they can get married. Next day during their meeting, Usman isn't paying attention to Kim because he's busy getting a pedicure and bragging about how cheap it is because he got it from a random man off the street. I don't know about you guys, but regardless of whether it's an American man or a Nigerian man, I'm not gonna let a random dude off the street give me a pedicure. This seems very unsanitary. Usman often will emotionally bait Kim, and an example of that is how he doesn't outright say you should be comfortable being the second wife. He says things like, are you willing to be the second wife? Because those are my family's terms. He knows that she's not comfortable with that, but he'll say it about 5 or 6 times so that he can slowly break away at her barriers and her sense of self-respect and make her feel almost like if she doesn't agree to these terms, she cannot be with him. This is high-key frustrating for an audience member to watch because we can recognize what's happening, but in this moment, Kim can't. A typical excuse is, I'm blinded by love. It's not the case with Kim. She glorifies the wrong kind of dudes, and we can see that from looking at her past dating history. So Usman's getting his nails did, and Kim mentions to him that she is unwilling to compromise and become the second wife. She wants to be the first wife, and she's setting up a healthy boundary for herself, but Usman takes offense to this because he has a huge ego and he's not getting his way. Just about the entire audience found Usman's reaction to Kim setting up those healthy boundaries for herself distasteful because he was so outraged at the thought of her potentially breaking up with him. Every season this dude has been on, he has responded very negatively to anything that bruises his fragile ego. This dude thinks that he's a famous musician. Quick question for y'all. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, I can't wait for the next Usman aka Soulja Boy album to drop? Me neither. Before we continue reviewing this cringe couple on this trash TV show, I'd like to tell you about today's video sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners were referred to as lords and ladies. They allow you to buy 1 square foot of land in Scotland and refer to yourself as either a lord or a lady. And in return, they are generous enough to commit to planting 1 tree for every order. The mission, of course, being to preserve the pristine woodlands of Scotland. This also means that you can get the title lord on your credit cards and airplane tickets, which is such a flex. Like, imagine throwing down your credit card and it says lord, then your name. Yo, waiter, I think I'm ready to pay. Oh, okay, I'll take your card, Lord Braxton Uppercrust III. Good news, guys, the first 200 people that are purchasing a title pack using my link in the bio of this video will have their plot next to mine. In fact, within a few minutes of walking distance, so I'm really excited to be neighbors, my fellow lords and ladies. Go to establishedtitles.com/Yourwetsock and use code Yourwetsock to get 10% off of all items. Big thanks again to them for sponsoring today's video. Now let's go back to our featured program. I've had better sounding farts than any song you put out. How about this dude's girlfriend that he's supposedly in love with runs away crying after he calls her ugly, and then this is what he says to the audience.
My DM is full to young, beautiful, rich ladies. So who is losing? I'm 33, she's 51. So what are you giving me, actually?
Wow, this girl's got the blinders on. I know that she's his super fan and everything, but it's not worth the disrespect staying in this relationship. You know what's crazy about this? I've yet to see Usman show up for Kim in a way that she's shown up for him. Remember past episodes, she stood up for Usman and their one-sided relationship to friends and family that were giving her fire advice. Yet when Kim met Usman's fan bam and the gift of the cow was interpreted as a bribe, Usman didn't speak up about the fact that the cow was his idea. This is the second time this dude has convinced an old lady to buy a farm animal for his mother before breaking up with them, and I've noticed a lot of similarities between his relationship with baby girl Lisa and Kim. He has these girls fly out to Nigeria to visit him, prioritize his music career, everything he's doing, get him on the show for another season, buy his mother a farm animal, and then dump them. It's no wonder Usman targets these old fans of 9 Day Fiancé because this shit would never fly with a girl around his age or my age, and that's why he does it, because there's already a power imbalance. If somebody's glorifying you and presenting themselves as a fan and already putting you you on a pedestal, they're way easier to manipulate. Season 7 episode 10 is titled Just Give Me a Reason, like the song from Pink. When I first saw Usman in this episode, I thought he was eating a candle at first because I missed the part where he purchased sugar cane and my dog was on top of me, so I was really distracted. But yeah, he actually just bought sugar cane, so that's way more normal than eating a candle. After reflecting on his words and actions last night, his stance on the matter hasn't changed. Usman once again says to the audience that he's putting in more work in this relationship and sacrificing more than Kim is. This is something the entire audience knows to be untrue. Obviously, Kim has put more work and sacrificed more in this relationship than Usman, but he's not going to back down until he gets his way. When looking at all this couple's past arguments, we can see that Usman, through words and action, shows Kim constantly that he doesn't really care about her, but she chooses to stay anyway. I've actually lost count of how many times Kim has expressed to the audience that she's planning on leaving Usman, but she doesn't. Comment below what you think about this, but for me, it's really hard to feel empathy and sympathy for someone that chooses to live in a state of misery because they're codependent. Not to mention, how sus is it that Kim married a cop killer and fell in love with who he was as a person? When the story broke and Kevin committed these murders, he was 17 years old, and only 2 years after, Kim married him. Kim's no stranger to run-ins with the law herself, because in 2003 she was arrested for check forgery. But hands down the biggest red flag is her relationship with Kevin and how it started. Kim saw his story on TV and went to jail one weekend to visit him. Kim believes in not judging others, and that's why she did what she did. I don't want to get too true crimesy on y'all, but walk me through this, Kim. So you saw a 17-year-old kid who with his brother stole a car and then murdered cops. Present day, Kim's son Jamal is 27 years old, and she always says that he's the apple of her eye. Back then in 1997, when Kevin committed these murders, Jamal was 2 years old. So this girl thought it was a productive use of her time to leave her 2-year-old son at home to develop a relationship with a murderer. I brought up Kim's check forgery charge to highlight that she has no problem lying, which would explain the constant holes in her stories. Earlier in the episodes, Kim informed the audience that she was married to Jamal's father for 20 years and it ended because he cheated on her. I'm very curious when Kim in fact married Jamal's father, because to quote Kim, there's more to the case than meets the eye. Hopefully she wasn't married to Jamal's biological father when he was 2 years old, because I'm sure that her husband at that time would feel some kind of way about her spending all her time over glorifying this murderer named Kevin and developing a relationship with him while he's at home watching the kid. Or alternate theory, maybe Kim and Jamal's biological father were separated at this time and got married when Jamal was older. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, but I would love to see a clear timeline. Usman once again tells the audience that he's sacrificing more in this relationship than Kim is. Kim walks over to him and is like, hey, can we talk? And he's like, you want some of my sugar cane?
The thing that bothered me is when you were like, oh, well, I have 100 women. Like, what the is that to say to me? Basically, I'm doing you a favor by being with you. Like, what the is that? You're not doing me a favor. I'm a beautiful woman, too. And I'm a very good person.
Well, I mean, she did get him a cow, so if she says that she is a good person, I think that we should believe her. It was just Halloween the other day, and if Kim didn't go dress as Herman Munster, she missed an opportunity. She would absolutely crush that cosplay.
I have to tell you that I have 100 women because you are trying to tell me that you are ready to break up with me.
That's not what I said.
That's what you said.
With that logic, clearly mentally, Usman's still in middle school sitting on the tire swing eating applesauce. How crazy is it that this man had an entire night to reflect on his words and actions, calling Kim ugly, saying that he has multiple options with other women, and he didn't offer her an apology and she's still there.
But I say that to you because you tell me we should break up. So you can't make me look like stupid.
How many more hints can this guy drop that he doesn't give a fuck about this girl?
I didn't tell you that I'm going to get married first. They said it. I don't ask you to be second wife.
Let me get this right. Usman's new family rule is that he has to take Kim as the second wife and have a girl from his local region as the first wife. But he was allowed to marry baby girl Lisa and make her the first wife in the past, and she didn't get him a PS5 or a MacBook Pro. It seems like Kim's getting the short end of the stick here. I think it's because Kim presented herself as a fan. He's just trying to see what he can get away with. Like, let's say that this is her self-respect and this is her boundary. He's trying to constantly pull that over to a side that's more favorable for him, which is why he constantly mentions that his family wants her to be the second wife, even though he knows that she's not cool with it and refuses to compromise with that because he already promised her that he would make her the first wife. Usman's really sly with it because he's one of those technical guys, because technically he didn't outright tell her that he wants her to be the second wife. He's using his family as the scapegoat and saying that they want her to be the second wife. Y'all remember when he married baby girl Lisa and his family acted like they were at a funeral? No one was happy in the room. They didn't approve of that girl, but he still walked down the aisle with her. So it just shows that he really doesn't care what his family thinks. He's obviously just stringing this girl along. The meeting's not going to go better if it's only his brother Muhammad and his mother, because they both already don't approve of Kim. Kim's overall mindset in terms of obtaining his family's blessing is very flawed, because she's under the assumption that if she proves that she loves their son, they're going to approve of her. She doesn't meet meet the requirements. They want a young girl from their region.
Farouk is being too much harsh to you. Let's exclude him.
Damn, Usman, did you think that up all by yourself when you were getting the pedicure by the random dude on the street? What a foolproof plan. How can they say no? All right, hear me out, guys. So let's redo that conversation, but without Farouk this time. Yeah? Yeah.
I was the one that come up with this plan. I said, let's meet them and tell them, okay, I love this woman, she loves me too. That's why I'm here with her.
Clap it up for Usman. This guy could probably teach a masterclass on plans. When he tells Kim the plan, she's like, oh, Soldier Boy, that's my boyfriend, Soldier Boy, aka Usman. She doesn't actually say that, but I think my impression of her is getting better. She does think that the plan's a good plan because she just wants breadcrumbs. Like, if he puts in a shred of effort, she thinks that he's going over and beyond.
After we get married, she is okay for me to get another wife to get married that can give me child. You know, like this, her culture is something that they don't do, but she agree with that.
I'm sorry, but how dead on the inside does Kim look right now? Between little Edward and Usman, they are aging these girls at an astonishing pace. Every season Liz and Kim go on, they look like they've aged about 10 years.
So that I can tell them how you are compromising too, you know?
So he can tell his family how she's also compromising. I love how he worded that. Kim then says to the audience, I gotta pick my battles, and right now the biggest battle is his family. So you're telling me dude didn't apologize for calling you ugly the previous night and his immature fight language talking about how he has all these other options that are better than you, and you think the biggest battle right now is to get his family's approval so you can marry this dude. Is she trolling or is she being dead ass? Let me know in the comments below. Kim then adds, yesterday I didn't get to show his family the charming, wonderful person that is Kimberly. Oh yeah, I thought that Kim was a really wonderful person when she threw a drink in his face twice and bought him expensive gifts so that he would pipe her. Not to mention the past when she tried to comfort Jimena on the tell-all because she's threatened by just about every single woman she sees. On the tell-all from the first season that this girl was on, she was of course defending Mike, another good dude. Funny enough, she also communicated to her family that when they meet Usman in real life, they're gonna see what a good dude he is. Obviously, from looking at how this dude treats her, she's very generous with the term good dude. The next day, Kim and Usman go to meet up with his brother, Muhammad, and his mom to try and obtain their approval. One itty bitty little problem though, it turns out that Farouk shows up instead of Muhammad, and Kim is like, oh no. Kim says to Usman's mom and brother that last time they met, she feels like they didn't see her as a person, and this time she wants to leave a good impression with them. Then she politely asks Usman to translate so that his mom can understand what she just said, and Usman gives a wrong translation.
Last time da muka haɗu a gida, abin ya mata zafi yanda ba a ganta a yanda take ba, sai ana kwatanta ta da wata.
Wow, replica of your ex, she never once said that. Usman's so sneaky. Kim would probably be better off asking Farouk to translate because he speaks English and he doesn't have a hidden agenda like Usman does.
The relationship I have with my family is just as close as the relationship that you have with your family. I wanted you to show her pictures of my son. Show him pictures of my family.
Stop. Kim's using her son Jamal to try and get his family to like her more.
Can you see? That's my baby.
Mom is asking, is he our type?
My son's also black. You know, like, I'm done. Kim then says, I really think that showing them Jamal's picture shows them who I am and not just some white lady that's coming to steal their son. So let me get this right. You think that the mother assumes you're a good person because you showed her a picture of you and your son? I'm genuinely trying to follow Kim's logic because obviously this is only the second time that she's met Usman's mother and she doesn't know enough about her to determine whether she's a good person or not. Kim's trying so hard to show them that she's a great person, but funny enough, she actually finds common ground with Farouk, and that is that both of them served in the military.
You served 9 years.
9 years.
She was in Saudi Arabia before.
Oh my God, you served 9 years.
Yes.
Which army?
She's an airborne.
No, what I can wait. It's a soldier, she da.
Hey, first time I've seen Farouk smile that big. She definitely scored some brownie points with him, telling him that she was in the military. Mr. Krabs, get ready to bring out the world's smallest violin. His mom once again says, thank you for the meetup, but my stance on the matter hasn't changed. I want Usman's first wife to be a young girl from our region. So Farouk and mom say thank you for the time. They get up and bounce, and Kim is once again sitting with this feeling of rejection because she's 0-2 for trying to get the blessing. One of my history professors in university told me that it's very important to know our history so we we don't repeat the past. And I bring this up because we get a little preview, and in the next episode, Kim and Usman have another fight, and it seems to be very similar to their other fights, where Usman wears a nonchalant, no fucks given attitude and tells Kim to pack up her bags and go back to America. Next thing you know, we see Kim sitting on her suitcase outside her hotel room crying hysterically, probably saying something like, Usman, aka Soldier Boy, how could you do this to me and do me like that? Usman, you said I was gonna be the first wife, but now I'm not gonna be the first wife because your parents don't approve of me. This is bullshit. I'm leaving, but I'm staying, but I'm leaving, but I'm staying. Make sure you guys are subscribed for more updates on Love and Hip Hop Nigeria. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Comment below, subscribe. Follow me on Twitch and on Instagram right now.